Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday Tea Time for St Andrews Golf Magazine. This evening I'm at the new golf club in St Andrews and it's a beautiful evening outside. We had some rain earlier on, a thunderstorm, but it's a beautiful sunset now. This week I'm joined by Les Bailey and Elizabeth Bethel of Pro Golf Now, and we'll be discussing the Women's British Open from last week, another super dramatic week in women's golf, and the Aberdeen Asset Management Scottish Open at Royal Aberdeen, which I attended, and we'll be previewing the Open Championship, of course, which starts tomorrow morning. We'll begin by discussing the Women's British Open, and yet again another major event on the LPGA that had a stellar cast of names going into the final round, but unusually for this year on the LPGA, we had a surprise winner. Mo Martin has done nothing really of note on the LPGA. She's never won, never contended to my knowledge. No top tens in a major before. She had 3 wins on the Symetra Tour, but she's really come from nowhere, and it wasn't like she just popped up on the last day. She led on the second day and did second on the first day as well. So, but Elizabeth, another great major in women's golf.
Oh, I just think Mo Martin was her week. That's the best we can do with it. Mo Martin was wonderful. From start to finish, she was wonderful. And I cringe a little when you say, she came from nowhere. Mo Martin's been playing golf and playing good golf, good solid golf, for 10 years. And she hasn't played to the top because she hasn't been ready. But she was ready this week. I mean, she's the shortest hitter on the LPGA Tour and #1 in accuracy. And what else do you need to win in a place like Royal Birkdale?
Number one driver last week, 77% of the fairway she hit. So, I mean, that's testament to what you're saying. And you win majors by hitting fairways, don't you? So, but we have to speak about. Obviously, we'll talk about the rest of the championship, but that shot at the last, I mean, it certainly ranks up there with any great shot in any tournament ever. Almost an albatross to win a major. It's quite remarkable.
I know, and she did such a wonderful little dance out there on the fairway after she executed that shot. It was a fabulous little dance. It was kind of a little jig that she did for just 4 or 5 steps, and you could feel, and then she got her control right back. You could just feel the level of thrill that came. I mean, I think she knew at that point. And the rest of us didn't know because we just couldn't let ourselves believe it. But Mo Martin she was wonderful. Now, the fact that An really lost the tournament, I mean, we always focus on the winner, but we have to talk about An for just a minute, because in a way she did lose the tournament. She was 2 strokes ahead. She ended up in a bunker. She did a no-no in the bunker. The building a stance got called from the broadcast booth. Dottie Pepper called it.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, An lost. It wasn't that Mo Martin won. An was not pleased. I saw her post-event interview after the decision had been made, and through the interpreter, she said all the right things, but she also had some nonverbals that revealed her unhappiness with the situation.
Somebody needs to point her to Craig Steller and let him explain about building a stance to her.
Well, she obviously didn't know. Yeah. Makes you wonder how many others do it and don't get caught.
Well, I mean, isn't it incredible how many times in the last few years we've seen players fall foul of something which they really should know about, the rules of golf, and when they're in that position, and it's cost them major tournaments. You obviously have to think back to Dustin Johnson at Whistling Straits. Mm-hmm. It is remarkable, really, when a rule book is free, it's readily available. They have referees with every match at major championships, and you would expect that sort of thing not to happen. It's such a shame because, as you say, really, she had the tournament won, and in terms of shots played, she did win.
Yeah.
It is a shame, but you can't. That's golf, unfortunately. You have to play by the rules, and even though some of the rules are
Of course you do.
harsh, it's pretty amazing.
The question I have is, what happened to Michelle?
Yeah.
Beth, are you still there?
Wow.
I'm still
Yeah, you think I'm not tuned into Michelle. I mean, what happened? She didn't play good golf. One time somebody asked Bubba Watson what happened, and he looked at him and he said, "Well, I didn't make enough good shots." And I think you have to say the same of Michelle. She didn't make enough good shots. That was it. Maybe she came in overconfident. Maybe she came in not fully prepared for the challenges of Royal Birkdale. I mean, Michelle's another one that can hit a long ball. Look what happened to Lexi. Those two big bombers. They couldn't play their brand of golf.
Maybe, obviously, both Michelle Wynn, Lexi Thompson, and Stacey Lewis, for that matter, have had amazing first 6 months of the year. They've contended in both the majors. Two of them have won the majors. It just wasn't their week. Isn't their sort of off, perhaps, or they're just very, very tired so far. They've played so many events, and you get weeks where the stars that have been playing well don't always show up. But you had such a great leaderboard with Inbee Park leading into the final round, Feng as well. Vijay Shikari featured in the first couple of rounds. Pettersson was there on the Sunday as well. So another amazing leaderboard. So it so happens we had a super dramatic finish, and it didn't really involve the main players of the year so far.
Didn't seem to. It's like most of the Americans kind of stubbed their toe.
Yeah.
It was good to see Pettersson up there, though.
It is.
Good to see some fire back in her game.
Well, with the Evian coming up as well, it's good timing for her defence in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
Just a note on Will Davies. I mean, a fantastic top 10, isn't it?
Well, I got to tell you, I wore out my TV remote on Sunday. I mean, I absolutely wore that thing out because we had 3 great golf tournaments, a NASCAR race, and a World Cup.
Maybe you need.
I keep trying to convince my wife I need another television.
Les, have you considered setting? Well, I was going to suggest that, or just set up some kind of split screen multicast arrangement. It's kind of a high-tech deal, but if you could get a big TV and divide your screen into 4, then you could keep them all going at one time.
Well, you know, it was really okay up until the World Cup come down into extra time, and the and the John Deere Classic was wrapping up at the same time. I was like, oh no. Because they score in soccer when everybody's tired anyway. So I knew I was going to miss a score if I didn't keep on top of it.
Oh, bye.
We'll move. It was a great week, and obviously Mo Martin the winner, but going forward, and it's just another amazing week on the LPGA, and every single tournament has a dramatic finish. Every single tournament has a stars. And recently, you could actually say that about the men's game as well. And obviously last week, the Scottish Open at Royal Aberdeen, a truly amazing golf course. Certainly the front line is up there with any in the world. Good crowds, over 60,000 throughout the week. And unfortunately for the Scots, an Englishman walked away with the honours. Justin Rose, his second year.
It always comes down to that, doesn't it, Matt?
It does. But no, Justin Rose, I mean, he has suddenly taken over from Keimer as the hot player in the world, 2 wins on 2 great golf courses, and he must be, I would say, the favourite going into this week. But we'll get on to that later. But his final round, 6 under par, and the final round, that's pretty amazing, really. When he was tied for the lead a few years ago, he would have gone backwards, and now he's taking control of tournaments.
He just when he teed off on Sunday, I mean, you could tell that he wanted to win that golf tournament. He just put the foot on the gas and just kept right on going.
Yeah.
And your Scott that was playing with him just kind of got left in the dust.
Yeah, I mean, Warren, he had a great chance to win at Castle Stewart a couple of years ago, and he's won at Glen Eagles, he's won in Sweden, but unfortunately he does have a pretty good reputation now of throwing tournaments away, and I don't suppose he did that this year, but he just couldn't live with Justin Rose. I think Warren shot 1 under, which is good in the conditions, but 6 under is just impossible to catch, really. And Rose now, another win, his first in Europe for a few years. He I would say, is the favourite for the Open, and to win on a links course the week before the Open is, I wouldn't say it was like winning the par 3 tournament at Augusta, because it does give you that confidence to go ahead on a links course. But the last 3 winners, or the last 3 Open champions, have played in the Scottish Open the week before. So there could be a winner to come from that group. Rory McIlroy, he had such a great first round. He got off to a steady start with a par on Thursday, and then birdied the second and went on from there. But Friday, unfortunately, again, 78. At one point in the media centre, it looked as though he was going to miss the cut.
Yeah, that would have been a shame, wouldn't it? After what he was 63, 78.
Yeah.
Was that the 2 numbers? If I'm remembering right. If he could if he could cut out Fridays, he'd be really doing well this year. He probably won a couple of tournaments.
If he played a mini tour, he'd win every week, wouldn't
he? Yeah. Good point. Not shooting 78 though. He's not going to win mini tours events.
So yeah. Well, he came back well, and I think he finished in the top 20. But he didn't. If he'd shot level par, he still wouldn't have won. So Justin Rose's 16 under was a stiff target.
That was a pretty good score for that golf course. I was amazed that they got to 16 under. I thought the winning score was going to be around 12, but they just kept right on going with it.
The weather was pretty good for 3 of the days. So Friday was very windy.
Yes.
So, it was very sunny. It rained a bit, I think, on the Saturday, but that was it. So they got away with it, really. But if you missed the fairway, the rough was quite punishing. So.
Yes.
But it's a good warm up. It's the 6th oldest golf course in the world, so it's got great tradition. So yeah, no, it was another week that could have been for Rory. Phil Mickelson, he didn't really get going. He just couldn't hold the putt.
Well, that's been Phil's story all years. He just can't seem to get a putt close to the hole, or can't get one to drop.
I mean, it was a very strong field, 52 points to the winner, world ranking points. So it's actually the strongest field on the European Tour this year, even stronger than the PGA at Wentworth. And it's a good step into the Open, and obviously coming up this week tomorrow, the Open Championship at Hoylake. And unfortunately for Hoylake, from my point of view, even I don't know many of the holes, and I think that's what probably is lessening my anticipation for this week, because I don't really know the golf course because we don't see it often enough.
Well, I was listening. In fact, I went and played golf today, and thank you. Yes, I shot 84, but it's about an hour back from the golf course, and I was listening to Tom Weiskopf on Sirius Radio, and Weiskopf was telling me that the first hole has been totally redesigned, and the first hole is a very tough hole. But he said that if you can shoot fours on 16, 17, and 18, you can win the golf tournament. He said 17 is the bear.
Yeah.
That's the one that you got to really be careful of, that because it plays into the prevailing wind and it's long, and there's not much room for error. He said you have to 4-4-4 will win the tournament. 5-5-5 you'll be in the also ran.
Yeah.
On those three holes.
Internal out of bounds, I think, on the first and the 18th.
Yes.
Which it's rare now for golf. It really is an old golf course. It's one of the oldest in England. And I think the Amateur Championship was conceived there. And it is the place where Bobby Jones won the Open when he won the Grand Slam. So
yes.
So it is a truly historic golf course. And obviously, 8 years ago, it was completely different to how it is now. The course was like a dust bowl. There was so much sand. It was so firm and fast. And as we all remember, Tiger hardly used the driver all week and won. And we'll start by talking about the subject of Tiger Woods, because we have to talk about him. And I used to be one of his greatest fans, and I still would love to see him go on and break the record, but he's got as much chance as I have turning pro. Unfortunately, he really has, in my opinion, he's chosen completely the wrong time to come back. He should have waited this out for as many months as he could until he was fit, even take the rest of the year off, rehab, get ready to come out for a new year next year, and see where he can go from there. But Hoylake, another course he's won on before, and obviously I think with some bookmakers he's even the favourite, which is quite bizarre, really. Well, how do we think he's going to fare this week?
Well, like I said in my blog yesterday when I did my fantasy picks, I put him in at number 5 on my fantasy pick because I'd hate to be looking real stupid if he did win and I didn't have him picked, because I mean, how dumb would that be, to have Tiger Woods in a tournament like that and not have him on the board someplace. But he's a lot like Phil Mickelson in that if he gets up in the morning and starts rolling putts in, he can be unbeatable.
Well, Butch Harmon was on Sky earlier on, and he was saying how, from afar, his swing looked really, really nice. And he said if he could take that swing onto the golf course, he would be a factor. And you just don't know how it's going to play out. But obviously, a lot of players look good on the range.
Well, during that same interview with Tom Weiskopf on Sirius Radio, they had Gary Player on there, and Gary Player said that when Tiger Woods won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach by 15 strokes, he said he projected Tiger to win 25 or 30 majors because he said he had the best swing that he had ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
And then he started taking lessons from people. And he said why did he do that? He said everybody's got him all messed up now that he's
Yeah, I mean there's only so much capacity the brain has to take on board information and produce,
Well, that's that's what makes Tom Watson good, is because he's got the same swing he had 50 years ago, and he isn't trying to do anything different with it. He just same old swing.
Yeah. Definitely. So we'll move on to the world number 1, Adam Scott. Good player on links. Should have won the Open 2 years ago. Gotten a bit quiet recently, but obviously he won at Colonial. Do we think he's certainly going to be in the mix this week with the likes of Stenson, Rose, McIlroy, Mickelson, etc.?
Well, he's avoided them all year. Now he's got to play them.
Yeah.
Mm. He's chickened out on everything. He didn't play in Wentworth. He didn't play. I don't know. Is he mad at the European Tour, or are they mad at him?
I think possibly Adam Scott doesn't want the commitment of having to play twice in Europe and 2 or 3 of the final series or whatever. But I know obviously some of the final series events clash with the Australian Open, the Australian Masters, and he's got a big commitment to go back to there and play. So it's possibly that.
Well, it seemed like since he won the Masters that he's just avoided the really good fields. You know, I quite frankly don't understand how come he's still number one, other than the fact that I mean Justin Rose has won. I think there's 4 people that can take over the number one this week if they can win at Hoylake, and including Jason Day.
That would be even more remarkable because he's been out injured, and since he's come back from injury, he's done virtually nothing. It's amazing he's still in the top 10, really. I think.
Well, the win where he beat Victor Dubuisson at Dove Mountain. After that's when he hurt his thumb, and he's never been really the same since.
No, he hasn't. And a hand injury is something which, unless it's proper, unless it's healed correctly, really does. And then in your mind, you're not confident to make those swings in the rough or in a bad position as you would have been previously.
Something, yeah.
Another dark horse, I think, this week is Sergio Garcia. Having spoken to him at BMW, he's been very confident. He loves the Open Championship. He loves the golf course. He came close, or he was in contention. I would say at Hoylake 8 years ago, and when you look at Adam Scott, Justin Rose, they've been projected to win majors for years, and they finally come good. And maybe just maybe this could be his time.
Oh, wouldn't it be just wonderful if Sergio and Tiger could get paired up in the second or the third or fourth round? Wouldn't that be a kick in the pants now?
If that happens, you need to send me an email because I'll actually watch the round.
In fact, I didn't include Sergio in my fantasy picks because Tiger's playing in the tournament. I said, "There's no way Sergio can win this one because Tiger's in it." You know.
The interesting aside, actually, to what you just said, Elizabeth, ESPN, I'm pretty sure I read this, are streaming every shot that Tiger hits at the Open on ESPN3. They're showing all of his rounds.
Well, it was embarrassing at Congressional because the group that he was in was 24 over par at one point, and they were showing every shot, and they weren't even. Once in a while, they'd cut away to the leaders, you know, and that was. I mean, that sucked. That's just total. But the media and the sponsors depend so much on Tiger to draw in people that it's embarrassing at times.
Yeah, it has become in the extreme, really. And if you look at, it'll be interesting to see the ratings in comparison to a normal ESPN online broadcast in comparison to actually their showing of the Open.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how many people tune into that Tiger broadcast. But it is a wide open championship, and Dustin Johnson, he's figured in Opens before. Victor Dubuisson, I asked him in Germany whether he was a fan of links courses, and most of his answers just were yes.
Parlez-vous français? Does he speak English?
He does, and he does very well, but he's not very friendly with the media.
Yeah, he didn't appear to be.
So I think maybe he's just wary of them. Martin Keimer, he was on such a great run with his wins at the Players and the US Open, and then he played in Germany and missed the cut. And then at the French Open, he was in position to make a run at a lead, and he had a terrible final round. Maybe he's just shattered from all the exertions of the media and being US Open winner by 8 shots. And, you know, I don't think I would fancy him to contend this week.
Well, I've got him in my 5 picks.
Yeah. Is Stenson in your 5 picks?
I got Stenson at number 1. I got Stenson at number 1. I got I think Keimer at 2, Justin Rose at 3, and Tiger at 5.
My.
Well,
Oh my.
that's interesting, isn't it? He was speaking about playing with Tiger earlier on and how he's beaten him a couple of times. And it is going to be wide open, and I think you could get a surprise winner. Maybe not a surprise in terms of somebody that's never done anything before, but maybe an older past major winner like Ernie Els.
Yeah, you're rooting for Ian Poulter, I know.
He has got a wrist injury, which he's tried to say that there's nothing wrong with it, that it's getting better. But I think if you've got a wrist injury around the links course, firm turf, you can be found out pretty quickly. So
I'd actually like to see Poulter win a major just so we could shut him up, you know.
Great. He's got all the tools to do it.
He does. He's
the greatest pressure putter possibly ever in terms of the Ryder Cup. And so yeah, he's got as good a chance as anybody of those players that you wouldn't say was in the top bracket of favourites. But yeah, it should be another great Open Championship as ever, and hopefully the weather. I actually pray for sunny weather all week. I don't like to see the wind and the rain destroy a round like it did in 2002 for Tiger.
Yeah.
I like to see the challenge. Yes, have it breezy. That's a real challenge with the firm ground. But
I'll tell you somebody that I think they need to watch out for this week, and I think that's Graham McDowell.
yes, yeah.
Graham McDowell has started to find his game again, and he could be dangerous.
Well, it was a remarkable win at the French Open from 8 shots back. We had from Kevin Sadler. That remarkable final round where he was completely out of it. He had a terrible start, and he looked like he was going to quit. He looked injured. He was going to quit. Then somehow he came back into it. And then when you think this is going to a playoff, he misses the most. It was so straightforward. It was like watching his dad from the Ryder Cup all those years ago. And Graham McDowell won the tournament. But Graham McDowell's got that quality that you need in an Open and a major in general to stick around and be there at the end. So I think that's a good guy to look out for.
And one of my questions to you is, Louis Oosthuizen, is he still injured? Does he still have back troubles?
Well, I haven't heard anything, but his form has been pretty sketchy, hasn't it? So I think I think possibly he does have something wrong with his body, but I've not actually heard anything official on that. So
yeah, that would be a good question for somebody out there is dig that, because he just isn't playing the way Louis Oosthuizen played for, since he come in second at the Masters, against Bubba Watson there.
No, he's not, unfortunately. So just quickly before I ask you for your tips, just to mention Chris Hansen, who went to university with me. He qualified for the Open last week, and he'll be playing. He's a young guy from about 28 years old. From Huddersfield in Yorkshire in England, and he's played on the Euro Pro Tour, which is like the Hooters Tour, and he's progressed to the Challenge Tour. Had a good chance to win last week, actually. Just bad end, tired because of his Open qualifier, and he's playing in the Open tomorrow, so we'll all be looking out for him. So I'm going to go first on this one. My selection.
I have a question for you before you do that.
Yeah.
You didn't mention the John Deere Classic.
I didn't mention the John Deere Classic. You mentioned the John Deere Classic.
We had a first-time winner at the John Deere Classic who actually got the last position to go to the Open, and that would be Brian Harmon. Was really impressed with his final round of golf to go out there and beat Steve Stricker on Steve Stricker's golf course.
Yeah.
I thought he really maintained. For a youngster, he maintained his poise. Let's put it that way. Now we can go on to the other picks.
Well, I just follow up on that unfortunately for the John Deere Classic, I mean, it has that unwanted week before the Open in America, where either all the stars are off or they're playing in Scotland, and and it's a good golf course with a great finish as well, and it always produces one or two good players in contention. It's just a shame, but it's a life-changing win for Brian Harman, so he'll be at the Open. My pick is Justin Rose. Simple, because he's playing.
You're going against history, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been a Brit won that thing since Tony Jacklin, 1971. Was it 71 or 72 that Jacklin won?
It was 1969, actually.
69.
Well, Faldo won. When did Faldo win? 1992. But it was actually Paul Lawrie, 15 years ago, wasn't it? With that amazing 3-iron shot in the last at Carnegie. Always gets forgotten because of John van der Velde, but it was an incredible shot, and he won the playoffs. So,
Paul Lawrie, yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's been a long, long time since. Well, unless you include Darren Clark.
No, that don't count. That don't count. See, I thought Paul Lawrie was from Ireland, but I guess he is from England, isn't he?
No, he's from Scotland.
That's Scotland. Oh, okay.
He's the boy from last week. No, I think Justin Rose has the form, the confidence playing on a links, and I think this is going to be his sort of championship that nobody really gets away from the field, and he could dominate over the weekend.
Well, I personally think that it's Stenson's time. He needs to. He's 38 years old. It's time for him to win a major, and he's finished in runner-up here twice. It's time for him to do it, and I think this is the year for him. Be the first Swede to ever win a major.
And it's been a long time coming. When you think Jesper Parnevik back 20 years ago had a great chance to win that Turnberry.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a few that come close. Elizabeth, do you want to have a pick, or are you happy to sit by and allow us?
Oh no, I don't want to pick. If you forced me into pick, I think just for fun I'd pick Tiger. Just for fun.
Well, you know, stranger things have happened, you know.
Well, they have, you know. I think he's going to give it everything he has.
If he can get some putts going, I mean, he's just a year removed from winning 3 tournaments on 3 pretty difficult golf courses in the States.
Yep.
You know, if he starts hitting them wedges close, look out.
Well, it would be a great story.
Well,
I think it's.
Well, I don't know if it'd be a great story or not, but he's my pick.
Of course, it would be. Of course, as much as we're tired of certain other media outlets going over the top, he is the greatest draw in the game, and he is still the most prominent golfer in the world. And he, okay, it's 6 years ago now, but he was winning his 14th major in a spell of 11 years. So he is the man, isn't he? So for him to win from absolutely nowhere, I mean, if he won this, it would be the greatest triumph he's ever had.
But that's Tiger. That's how come he's got what is it, 81 or 79 wins on the tour.
Yeah.
Because he has the ability to do it if he just can get there, you know.
Okay, well, it's going to be another fantastic Open Championship, and it also marks 12 months to go until the Open returns to St Andrews, and we'll be ramping up our build-up to the Open next year as soon as this week is over, and it's going to be a great 12 months for all of us, and we'll be profiling 5 local golfers in their attempts to get to St Andrews next year, and a whole lot of other things, and hopefully we'll be in the media centre next year as well. So, but it's going to be a great week. So from myself, from Les and Elizabeth, it's good evening.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.